Yeah, we are all set. So welcome everyone to Day 5's website meeting. Today is 10th of April. And I don't remember, do we have a public holiday today? We have very less number of participants today. So no issues. I'll quickly, yeah.
Easter's happening for folks.
Okay. Yeah, that might affect. Yeah, cool. So I've shared the link of meeting minutes in chat. And if you got an agenda item, feel free to toss them in and make sure to write your name in attendees list. So with that, let me check the participants list. So do we have any newcomer? Nope, we don't have any newcomer today. So let's move ahead with today's first item. That's by Udit. So Udit has two items, fix on SVG and a fix for scrollspy. So Udit, all yours. Udit, if you are speaking, we are not able to hear you.
And the last time this happened to me, I was using my microphone as a speaker. And it's like, why can't I hear anybody? What's going on? It's like my microphone's right here in my ear. I can't hear anybody.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yep, you are.
Okay. So one issue was that if you go to this page and if you just use the dark mode, the size of the image is a lot bigger than the light theme image. So I just added the height and the width to that image tag. So that fixed the problem. You can just add like 450, which is the size. So that will not cause any bug or something. And the second issue that I fixed was, yeah. So before, whenever that you open the website, you would see this mega menu every time it pops up for no reason. And sometimes even if you do not want to hover over the solution tag, it opened immediately. So I did a number of changes to fix this. One was that I added a null to the initial state, so that I think at first we were just having an active item of menu item 0, which was like the first item we would see every time the page mounts or loads. So I just added initially we have null, and only when a person like puts his cursor or hover over it using it, only then I am making it visible. And there are also some number of changes, like we are using set state directly in the component body, which I think can cause some extra re-renders. And also I think this method of hiding the element is not, I think, quite accurate to use here. We can just simply add a Boolean variable here and then display this div tag only when this is true. So that would fix like a number of problems, like whenever a component mounts or unmounts, it handles all the React state. And that's pretty much it from my side.
It looked pretty clean. Yeah, the first issue that you had fixed, it sounds like, the two images were of two different sizes, so that it's a little odd that we didn't produce them, since it's a logo, that we didn't produce them in the same at the same size, but the solution makes sense. And then on the second item, the implementation that you were just reviewing, it looks a bit cleaner than what we already have, which is always nicer. Usually simpler things work more consistently. And then the state that you're referring to, that's was that use state?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So the initial one had already an initial state of the first menu item, which was the solution tab. So that's why it gets open as soon as the page loads. So I just added a null there. So like there is no active state right now.
I see. I see. Okay. And then I'm curious, do you know what effect, does that have any effect on whether or not people see the animation for those flying mice? Do they see the animation each and every time that they visit the mega menu?
I mean, what kind of animation?
It's the one that under the solution menu or the solutions menu.
Okay, let me share my screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it looks like maybe they just, yeah, in the solutions menu, when you revisit it, does it, okay, the animation plays again. And if you move away and come back, so it didn't play there, but it does play here. Okay. I don't know. Not, it's interesting to note that the difference between the two.
Okay, so you want that this animation has to be played every time a user hover here.
I don't know that I don't know. Yeah. The fact that it's a, I don't know. The fact that, okay, so what's interesting is if you reload the page, the first time that you visit solutions directly, it animates. Okay. And then if you navigate away, not to, yeah, okay. If you do it again, if you refresh the page, visit solutions, see that it animates, move away from the menus altogether. Okay. And you come back. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that there's a one-time effect there, but then the reason I say I don't know, is that like, well, on one hand, generally consistency of experience means a high quality user experience. So when you do something that, if you get the same effect, like that means it's a high quality thing. Although in this case, sometimes animations become annoying. And so, I don't know, does anybody else have a perspective? Do you all think that it should animate each time it's visited? It should only animate once, no matter where it's visited from? Or is this mixed experience okay? Yeah, if you go back to solutions again, just to demo it. I do, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I think I can see like how can we animate it every time if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think if we were to make a change, it would probably be to animate it every time. Yeah.
Okay.
There's something that we've struggled with a little bit though, since we're talking about the mega menu. And actually a couple of folks are voting. Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Like sometimes some folks, hey, one-time animation is best, so we don't annoy people maybe, or so we don't distract people. Other times it's like, hey, that consistency each time is good. Maybe you missed the animation the first time. I don't know. I'm not sure if there is a correct answer. When you visit projects, I don't know if this sticks out to everyone else, but the amount of vertical white space between the two featured elements is kind of terrible, I think. The amount of
there is already an open PR who fixed this.
Okay. Nice, good. Yeah, hopefully one of the things that's addressed is the wording on both of them, on either of them. It's vertically unaligned as well between the two. So meshery is lower than mesh map words. anyway, part of it is a challenge because of the height of the left-hand side menu items. It's just kind of a tall menu in the first place. So anyway.
Okay.
That's nice.
I think it was somewhere here.
Yeah, that one.
And do we know who was working on this one?
Yeah, so this is how I think this has been fixed.
Okay, see the see the menu on the left-hand side? Yeah. The menu items on the left where it says projects, Meshri, Nighthawks. So yeah, it looks like the way that whomever is working on this fixed it is not necessarily by addressing the cards directly, those two, but perhaps by changing the, well, I guess they did make some changes to the cards because they look different when it's fully expanded. But the change that they also made this other change where they're expanding, unexpanding each menu. If you visit, yeah, as you visit the other menus, do any of the rest of them expand or unexpand? Collapse, collapse. No, no, no. Okay,
Only
just the
this one.
projects. Is the individual that's working on this on the call now?
No, I don't think so. Mel Sonic.
No.
Nope.
Guess Vivek, if you're on the call, do you mind tagging Vivek, or I mean not Vivek, Mel Sonic, whomever that is, in Slack, just to let them know that we were discussing their PR and have some questions for them if they're free. You know? So, okay.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing with it. So I just have one more item over here. So it's not related to your PR. So we need to do some work over here with the browser navigation points. It's kind of overlapping.
Oh, okay. I think I can fix another PR.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for your update, Udit. So next up we have Akash Singh on fixed highlighting behavior issue in dark mode. So do we have Akash Singh? Nope.
No.
Let's visit his PR. Oh, okay. So the highlighting feature was missing on this particular page. Authors. So Udit
Nice.
has already reviewed. So I think we can give it a one more review and good to go.
That sounds good to me. Sounds like, yeah, both Ayush and Udit have given the thumbs up. So.
Yeah. Let's merge this PR.
I mean, if Udit says it's good, then we're good to go.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for reviewing Udit and Ayush. So next up we have an update from Ayush on Lighthouse, but Ayush messaged that he won't be able to make to the call. So let's visit his PR. So Ayush is working actively on SEO stuff, Lighthouse workflows, and auditing all the pages. So
yeah, so he ended up turning on Lighthouse for all pages. He said that it took probably quite some time to run. I think for him locally, I think he was doing it locally. I don't know. Whether we turn this on for all pages or not, we minimally should turn it on for a handful more than we have right now. Because if it's only like 6 or so right now, he had said there's about 850 pages on the site currently. Some of them are, I mean, that sounds like a lot of work potentially to have to address lighthouse, checks for each. Many of them, though, are from the same template, or they're from the same collection. So the community members pages, for example, that maybe there's about, I don't know, 100 or more of those between the active and the inactive. That, yeah, if you fix one issue, it probably works for 100 pages. So yeah,
cool. Yeah, I think we can discuss this with Ayush on Slack later. So next we have an issue on SEO items by Saksham. So yep, we do have Saksham on the call. So Saksham would like to share.
Am I audible?
Yep, you are.
yep. Just checking to see if you're audible. Not that you were gonna say anything, but
Yeah, Saksham, you can continue.
Okay. So it was about and I just checked and found how we can optimize them. So I suggested a few draft meta tags and titles. Yeah.
Okay, let's
nice.
get them reviewed now.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, this is really helpful. Saksham, I don't know what it. Okay, what they currently say. Do we know why? What was the concern, that they were too long? Is that what was going on?
No, the actual issue with the meta description tag was there that it was not having a meta description tag. So the SEO audit said like either use it or just completely remove the meta tags.
Yeah.
It was not having a description here.
Huh. I wonder how that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, good. I mean, this is well, when you say current meta description, Saksham, that confuses me. Do the pages have one already?
Yeah, they have that.
Okay. But yeah, but sounds like the audit, but this is failing the audit. And so perhaps, I guess a couple of things could be happening. Maybe the tag or element or attribute that we're using is not what Lighthouse is looking for, or it's different from other pages, or because that doesn't really. Saksham, do you have the failure handy? Like what Lighthouse says is the issue?
Lee, I'm really sorry. I'm not aware about all this stuff. So I just did whatever was asked in the, issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
we can get you help with the Lighthouse then.
Actually, I'm not aware about all this cloud management stuff and Lighthouse.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be a good topic to talk. Actually, so Udit, do you want to take a crack at explaining what Lighthouse is and how that's?
Yeah, okay, I'll try. Okay, so Lighthouse is a tool given by Google just to track how your website is performing and how and they also use this ranking to basically rank your website so more people can reach out to your website and then they can see it. And also like it makes sure that your website is accessible and responsive, because more and more people should be able to use it. And even if they use something like as a mobile or a slow internet connection, they can still access our website. So there are few attributes that they measure on, like, which I think it's better like if you figure out yourself. You can check on there are few websites like there is web.dev, which is in Google's website. They clearly mention like how you can optimize your websites and what all parameters that they see. So yeah,
Okay.
you go to Core Web Vitals. You can see on the performance, that card that you can see. Yeah. So
Okay.
they explain each of these things, like there is first large contestful paint, then there is first input delay. So you can just read how all of these metrics work and how they measure the performance of a website. And you can also like perform the test on any website using the dev tools in your browser.
Okay. Okay, I'll look into it. Thanks.
Okay.
Nice. So we take this same tool that you can run here. They've redone their site, so I'm not really sure where the tool is listed. But you can enter in your site URL here and have them run a test. You can, and then you can take the same tool like Udit was saying and run it as part of, we run it every time that there's a PR opened up. So we rerun the tool to make sure that we're not regressing.
Okay.
And so it checks things like, well, does the page have a metadata tab? And if not, then it flags that. So,
I checked the resources that were provided in the issue, and I tried to optimize the meta tag and title tag accordingly, just using that. That was just, but I'll look into this one as well.
yeah, well, it's not so much, actually, we were just giving you that explanation to help with your education. It's not so much that, like, if you take any given issue, many of them have red X's on them, and that's unnerving to people who are contributing. I would think a number of people will ask like, oh, what did I do wrong? What did I break? Or, how do I fix this red X down here? I thought I did the correct thing. And we all generally have done the correct thing. It's just that we have existing issues that are resident in many of the pages. And so as GitHub takes a PR and goes to build the site, as it's building the site, like most of the time, the site builds are successful. The site gets built, the contributors' changes are incorporated, and a preview link is given, no problem most of the time. But one of the other things that is run is this same tool. It's just the name of the tool is called Lighthouse. And it's worth all of us spending a moment to learn it a little bit more or check on what results are being produced by the tool and how actually each of you can go do something about the issues. So if we just go to take a look, it looks daunting. Whoops, I clicked on the wrong page. It looks daunting because it is a really long list of, of all this output from the tool. If you pause for a moment and just read one of these, so there's 5 results from this particular page, the 404 page. So we have a custom 404 page on the site, which if you're looking for a little bit of sarcasm, then go visit some page that doesn't exist. And what a mesh this is. If you refresh, you might get some other silly joke. Things tend to get a bit meshy around. Anyway, there are issues that Lighthouse is finding with this custom template or this custom 404 page. What issues did it find? there are unused CSS rules on the page. Oh, this is the issue. So they put an X. What their suggestion to do is reduce unused CSS. How do you do that? How do you do it? You visit this and they'll give you a generic description. In this case, they don't specifically say, oh, it was the such and such class that you're not using. They don't say that. They just explain the thing. This is actually a really great way for everybody to learn web programming or web design. Yemi, were you going to say something?
Oh shit. I didn't even know it's audio.
Oh, sure. No problem. No problem. Anyway, it actually is a really great way to learn web development because it's like, hey, here's a best practice. Each one of these represents a best practice in some area, and they're saying, hey, here's how this site is violating, is not adhering to these best practices. For this one page, there's 5 items. Some might be quite severe, some might be negligible or ignorable. Some of them might be things where it's like, look, we're just never going to do that thing that they're pointing out. We might choose to ignore it and go make a list of things in the configuration of this tool that we would just ignore. But we won't know what those are until we go one by one and explore them. The thing is like, okay, let's say that we clean up some unused CSS here. Well, the next time that someone contributes and someone else does and someone else does, eventually we might find our way back to the same position where we've orphaned some CSS. How do we avoid that? Like if we're putting in the work to clean things up and get, a bunch of green check marks, how do we avoid? Well, the way that we avoid that is eventually we get all of these tests passing. So we expect a green check mark. And then once a new pull request is opened up, if there's a red X, hey, we need to, before we would merge that PR, we would want to make sure that that's green. Right now, we're not requiring that because there's a fairly long list of things that we need to go fix. So for all of you, like, if you want to, A, find something to work on, B, learn some best practices for web development, C, get some pull requests, tally marks on your GitHub profile, like these are all open to you. These are great things to go dig into. Yeah, on this, so the number, yeah, so there's a number of them. Many of them might be the same across different pages. So sometimes you'll fix one item and maybe it'll knock out a lot of them. Other times you might fix one item and you end up creating another one somewhere else. So you just, but over time as you learn, I think it would also be really nice if everyone just briefly understood. This is a screenshot, I believe, of the report that you might get back. You can go interact, you can go run the Lighthouse test independent of creating a PR. Udit or others, do you guys know where did the tool go? Like, what's the name of it? What's the name of the related tools? I forgot. There's this whole other set of tools that Lighthouse is built upon. We've talked about them a lot. Oh, page speed. Yeah. Page speed. That's the name of it. PageSpeed.webdev is one place where you might find this. Oh, nice. Chinu, thank you. I dare say Chinu beat me because he would have had to have found it, copied it, pasted it, had Lee spend time reading it. But I don't know. According to me, like I probably found it before he did. Let's just say that. Let's just anyway. Obviously, he was faster than I was. You can run it here, and this might be another. This might help you understand what's happening a little better, because these are individual tests. Like this LCP. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tests that Udit was beginning to describe that seem to be quite important. Like there's a lot of tests that they run. Why are they putting these 6 first? What's so important about these 6? What's the deal? And wow, if this is 1.5 seconds, this is like 0 seconds. Gosh, if you're within like these milliseconds, then matter. What the heck is LCP? And what would be the difference between that and FCP? It's kind of an interesting thing. By the way, I think if you were to zoom way out on your browser and you were to go, I haven't done this before. If I was to go to Amazon.com, damn it, that didn't work. If you do that one more time, since we're all, I guess, hopefully learning something new here. I hope you guys are seeing something that you don't know yet. We go to Amazon.com. If I bring up a private browsing session, I'm going to set my zoom level quite low. Get way out here. So maybe I'll get maybe I'll try to get a really tall screen or something. If I go to Amazon.com, I think this is true. If we see, and it's kind of difficult to see through Zoom, but if we see stuff at the top loading first, and then some of the bottom filling in, let's see what happens. Actually, before we do it, maybe we should if we can set our speed. Does anybody remember how to do that in Mac? Shoot, I don't remember. Anyway, let's just try it real fast. Well, shoot. I know it's kind of too fast for me to tell. Anyway, the point is, what we should be seeing, especially if we slow down our speed, quite a bit, we should see the top loads first, because what's above the fold, meaning what's above the line by which people can see your web page, the line being just the proverbial above the fold line. That's different for different people depending upon browser size, window size. But generally, anyway, this stuff up here is clearly the stuff that people would see first when they visit the page. And so it's the most important to get loaded first and to start to paint the screen first. So those metrics weigh heavily, these tests weigh heavily on these results. So Saksham, this is also what's kind of weird is like the metadata tags that you were looking at, those fall under the category of SEO, those tests. Now, granted, this particular run of the test, it didn't go to all 850 pages and test them all. But had it visited MeshMap, which should be a prominently linked page, which, by the way, as you go to assess the site and as a web crawler looks at the site, like what pages are the most important out of those 850? Well, one of the ways to measure that, and they're not going to crawl all 850, not every day, not even necessarily ever. Depends on a number of factors as to how many they crawl. And anyway, there's a whole career for any of you that were to, if you were to go into just SEO, like there's tons of rules about how the system works, the search ranking system. And anyway, the way in which a web crawler dissects and understands your site and the way in which it figures out which pages to crawl is in part based on how many links are going, from your site, how many links link to that particular page. And so that has an effect on how it gets ranked. So if I were to type mesh map as a general search term in Google, oh no, that's a bad example. If I were to type layer 5 as a general search term in Google, if I can get it to, when Google shows back a particular site, sometimes they'll have these, well, I forget the term for it, but you see how there's this top level link, and then there's some sublinks that you might be interested in. Well, why did it choose these? Because there's a lot of other top level pages. I mean, top level meaning like secondary level in terms of site structure. Well, it did that based on how important these are. There are a lot of people that apply for jobs at layer 5 every day. And we try to let people know, by the way, that the way to get a job is to come participate. That's how you get a job. Anyway, obviously Google thinks that that page is important, and it thinks that the internship page is important as well. But how it figures that out is kind of interesting, and is in part what you'll learn if you dig into this stuff, these tests. So, wow. I just figured it would probably be helpful to all of us to have some context as to why are we getting that red X? What can we do about it? Should we do something about it? Yes, we should. And yeah, so Saksham, does that give you some insight? I mean, so that Lighthouse stuff has nothing to do with cloud native or, you know, any of the projects. What do you think?
Yeah, Lee, I got some idea. I'll dig more and think about it.
Okay. Wait. You're in your second year, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, good. I'm going to not let you off the hook with just that response. So I gave you like, I don't know, 10 minutes of stuff, right? All this stuff that I explained and stuff. Give me back at least 30 seconds of like, no, what do you think, man? What do you think?
Lee, this lighthouse thing, I think what we have so far discussed is mainly about performance and how a page loads in the Google searches. Like I have the overview and the big picture idea of it right now, not the terminologies. And there are like 6 tests that kind of rank how the page would, load.
Good. Nice response. That's good. Yeah. 6 super important kind of core tests. And then.
Yeah, LCP, and I think one is TCP.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that's great. And then like a litany of like other tests that I'm not sure how many there are. An interesting thing is, yeah, I've similarly characterized those tests in a similar way in the past. I've let the word performance come out of my mouth, and it's those tests are absolutely about performance. And interestingly, that like of the way in which they structure they categorize the tests, like the performance is one category. The other categories we saw was accessibility, SEO,
yeah, accessibility.
Yeah, and then there's I forgot what the fourth was, but it's also curious then to come to understand like, wait, okay, so like which of those categories or which of all of those tests weigh most heavily? Like all of that adds up in some way, shape, and form to how it is that a particular page, a search result, shows in what rank, in this search results. Like where does that site come down? And that is just that itself, outside of understanding all the stuff we just talked about, then understanding just page rank, well, is something that Google intentionally publishes a lot of information about to help because it's of interest to many. They also don't necessarily publish the algorithm, which I'm sure is not, there's no single algorithm. There's like tons and tons of things. So part of, since we're talking about this is something that I think all of you might be interested in general, especially as you make an impact here and you want to understand what it is that impact you're having is doing. There's a part of what weighs on whether or not like when we search for layer 5, does it come up as the first, or is the layer 5 IO website the first that comes back? Why doesn't the layer 5, like there's an OSI model in network engineering, an OSI model layers 1 through 7, and I won't, if anybody wants to know about that, or the then come see me. I'll tell you all about every one of those layers and where to go learn more about each one. Anyway, in concept, we're at layer 5 of the OSI stack. Anyway, so layer 5.io does come back as the first search term, at least when I'm signed in. If I sign out, does that have an effect, a difference? If I'm searching from the US at some locale versus somewhere else, does that have an effect? Whew. Thankfully, no, it still comes back as the first, and then get our GitHub and our Twitter. That's great. And and our partnership with HashiCorp comes back. Oh yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, domain authority is one of the things that really ranks. It really matters. Domain authority for a site. Domain authority checker. All right. And there's a number of, I mean, what's layer 5 IO's domain authority? And how is domain authority figured out? Well, a lot of it some of it, there's a good bit of it has to do with those lighthouse tests, those getting those scores done well, certainly matters. Although it's just one of a number of other factors that weigh in for, and by the way, there's domain authority and domain like relevance. And these guys are calling it domain ranking. And so a lot of how the number here, how high, like if you were looking for information about open source internships, if you just search that term generally, would layer 5 IO come up? Well, that has everything to do with domain authority and keyword relevance. Domain authority is in part based on backlinks being how many other sites are linking to you and how many other sites are linking to you for those keywords. And like, it's kind of an interesting thing. I think the way that the web and searching the web, indexing the web works is goes on for a while. And how we can affect this. This has only grown in number in the time that most of you have been here. And that's great. And it needs to be at like 99 if we could get it there. It's tough to get it that high. What domains do have 99? Well, like Microsoft.com does, I believe. And guess what? There's a link from Microsoft.com to layer 5 IO. What? Yeah, we've done some stuff. Those guys have written about us and linked to us. And that the link juice, which I think is the technical term. It's not just one of those stupid things that Lee says. It's like, no, the link juice on that particular link, that backlink counts a bit, or weighs a bit heavier than if we had a bunch of links from other sites that had lower domain ratings. So some of the stuff that I'm saying to some of you is like super boring because, yeah, it's like you already know that. But on the off chance that you didn't, that's something that we could potentially just at the start of each meeting every day go, okay, where are we at? We still got 47. All right. Or like, and by the way, depending upon what tool you use, they rank the domain authority a bit differently. So we would just want to choose one tool, use that one consistently to sort of get our baseline and see where we're off to. We have, by the way, so today's, well, right around Easter, April 10th. So we're at 47 from that site, but we're also at about 850 pages. I will tell you this year's goal is, well, conveniently 10 times that, or this year's goal is like 10,000 pages. There's so much stuff that we do here that we don't publish and talk about. If you're on the call here and you've been here for a while, and you haven't written a blog post about what you've done or doing, or you haven't written a resource article on what LCP is and why that matters to layer 5 IO, like go write that and that would be the 851st page on the site. But yeah, so we're gonna get out a lot of pages, and maybe one of those is yours.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot, Lee, for explaining about SEO. So let's move to next item. That's by Hetvi Soni on form overflow corrected. So I don't think we have Hetvi on the call. So let's quickly review her PR. Okay, so she has made some overflow fixes on the careers programs page. Okay, I think we can review it after the call, and let's get the things done. So we don't have a topic on docs.mishu.io. We should have one. So let's move to, yeah, Lee.
No, yeah, I was going to say the same thing you say, like, oh my goodness, we should have one. Because those, I mean, that site's come a long way, but there's a lot more to do. And as a matter of fact, the site itself, the structure of the content, it needs restructured. But yeah, side note. Anyway, I am excited to talk about Senali's work.
Yeah, Senali, you're up next. Let's discuss your item on add patterns in actions.
Am I audible?
Yep, you are.
But I have an issue with share my screen.
I can share, and you can do a voiceover if you have any issues with sharing.
Yeah, I have some doubt with the current PR. First thing is there's a button called pattern in the where I have an issue with where to link that button, and also there is another button called try mesh map. There are also issue with where to link that button. The other doubt is this video, how it works. There is some comment regarding change the format of that video. I think I dropped some comment regarding its temporary demo video, so we can update it when we use actual video. Yeah. So the doubts have, and also other thing is the mesh map patterns. There is only 3 type of images in the UI, so we need to come up with other patterns.
Udit, you reviewed this PR, so do you want to answer Senali's query? I guess Udit is also having some kind of audio issues. So yeah, I can answer the one question that you asked about where to link that mesh map, that button. So we can link it to mesh map page because it's saying the section about mesh map. So any comments or feedback or anything for Senali?
Yeah, a couple. One, I think a direct answer to the where should the mesh map button link to question. there's one of two places that have come to mind. One is layer 5 IO / mesh map. Again, there's a bunch of pages that describe mesh. Well, not a bunch. There's like 4 pages that describe mesh map now. Thanks to Udit and Shivam and Ritik and a list of you. There's like 4 pretty well done pages. Another place to link to, well, it could be play.meshry.io. The system behind play.meshry.io is running meshmap. And so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a coin toss there. Take your pick. That's probably a good thing for us to put up here as an issue is when we first started this site, we didn't have the Meshry playground or the CNCF playground. And so this advertisement, if that's what you could call it, this banner, this call out to try meshmap or try Meshry, we could probably use a second one of these, kind of similar, or this one actually has, I think the linear gradient in my mind is causing a fading effect on the, like, I think the linear gradient needs to be a bit different, but there's probably a second banner that we could use that would point people to the playground. So if anybody wants to try their hand at creating an advert, so to speak, that would be good. In terms of the video, if you don't mind, Senali, just for lack of something better to put up here, if video that describes, I'll give you a link right now that helps that helps describe mesh map. I don't know if it's the best link, but it's much better than with this other link that I'll give you now, we could actually potentially merge the page because that way we would have, relevant content. Quick question for you: the cards, the grid of cards that are on this page. We just forgot a D on the untitled design on the upper right hand, card, but it was mentioned. I think since this is a Jekyll site, and since the meshry.io /catalog, since that's a Jekyll site, I wonder how much reuse you could get from there. That way, all the same styling, all the same, like as those pages are updated, it can be updated here as well dynamically. Which
this is a gas-fired site, not Jekyll. Then
nice. Yeah, your voice is a little bit low.
Yeah, this is a gas by site, not a Jekyll.
Oh, I see.
Then there's issue.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, this site is a Gatsby site. The other one is a Jekyll site. Okay. Yeah, that will make it a little bit more tough to directly reuse. Although I do think that it's worth maybe all of us going through, not right now because everyone's sick of listening to Lee, but like next time we meet, we could talk about how it is the same remote data from the Meshry catalog can be grabbed and used here. And actually, Senali, there are at least one other place where we want to do just that. There's like 2 places actually. If you, since we're at the top of the hour and like to finish off this thought, if you were to visit Meshry Cloud, like meshry.layer5.io, when people publish a piece of, any of you can do this, and I think, I don't know if it was Karin or I thought somebody else on this call had published. Karin, I thought you had published like the Nginx, an Nginx deployment to the catalog. I could be misremembering. When people do publish a piece of content, a design to the catalog, you will ultimately be able to see who published what. So that grid of cards that you have, if you were to visit the active user, if you were to visit like Gaurav's profile in this case, as he were to go and publish a design into the catalog, this placeholder right there, it would begin to look like this. So Ashish has published a number of pieces of content, and these cards are dynamic. I mean, that data is dynamic. So we end up having like 3 or 4, like in Meshri UI, we have a similar thing. In Meshri.io on the catalog, we have a similar thing. On the, I better be careful with my fingers. On the service mesh patterns, we have a similar thing. Like, so anyway, centrally or reusing that central data, but putting it into different sites is something that we have to do. And so rather than having static entries in the site that you're working on, we might want to take a look at how you can, source the data from the other repo dynamically. Right, but first we'll get that PR merged. I'll get you a hyperlink to a video.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Senali. So we are on top of the hour. So I think we can discuss the rest of the items in next meeting. And I just want to make a quick call that we have a couple of issues open on play.meshi.io. So feel free to pick them up. Comment on the issue and we'll assign it to you. So with that, I think we are good to wrap today. So we had a great call today and a lots of great SEO stuff explained by Lee.
Hey, dude, really quick. Did we miss anybody? Did anyone have something? I mean, I droned on forever. So did we miss something that someone wanted to bring up? The leaderboard design, Savo?
Yeah, I had just made a rough design for the leaderboard section. I have shared the link in the chat. Whoever is sharing the...
Yeah, let me open.
I'll go through this with Ritik also. Does it look fun?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, look at number 1. Who's in number 1? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Even though it's fake, I'll still take it. Oh, that gold looks so good too. I mean, silver, that's okay. Bronze, sure. But the gold, number 1. Sorry. Anyway, man, wow. Savo, why have we been wasting your talents on other things? That's great. There's, so Ritik, no doubt, is exactly a great person to go spend time with, and was something that that perhaps should be considered is that public profile that we were just looking at. We just looked at Gaurav's public profile on Meshri Cloud. Ritik can tell you all about the other. See how we're on the designs tab, that green one.
Yeah.
Well, Ritik, maybe you already know this, but he can tell you all about the other 3 that are grayed out. Like that type of design that you have, we should probably consider for one of those pages, because alternatively, there's a different, much more simple leaderboard design that really is much more like a 1 through 10. Here's the people who have provided the most solutions on the discussion forum over the last month, which is simplistic in nature compared to the design that you have that accounts for a number of other metrics, like GitHub metrics and things. So.
Contributions, commits and approvals, I would say, and pull requests.
Yeah, and all that data is right there available to us as well. So that's that's certainly feasible.
Yeah, I have to check like how we are going to rank them. Like for example, we can't just rank anyone on the basis of how many pull requests they might have merged. Like we have to consider all and have a certain, I would say, percent. For example, for opening issues, 0.5 like that, or pull request 2, something like that. Then we can, on the basis of the overall percentage, we can rank them all.
Yeah, it is an extraordinarily slippery slope. It is, the answer is you will never get it right because it's not a fair question. It's like, yeah, this person opened up a 400 PRs. They fixed a period in a sentence on that PR, and they added a white space to another sentence on that PR, and they blah, blah, blah. And they didn't really meaningfully contribute in any, like you can't, it's just, so we won't, this isn't quite, there is a different metric that is a bit, perhaps a bit more meaningful. They all have some meaning, but how can you fairly and equitably attribute that across, like, people, by the way, people make their livings out of just that sociological, psychological analysis. There's organizational psychology as a field of study in which this effect, like how people want to game a system like this, what effect that has, because you want to incentivize people toward the right behavior. And if all you do is incentivize them to open up a bunch of bogus issues, like, wait, that backfired on us. That's not what we wanted. Anyway, there is another one that works out really well. And it's actually the first one that I think that we should do. It's the number of solutions presented on a discussion forum. Because yeah, if someone answered a question and it gets marked as a solution, like it's a human curated thing. Some human came over and said, yeah, thank you. You answered my question. Or that question was answered with this thing. Whether it was a super hard question or a super easy one, you know, who knows, or we don't have a metric for that. But it's a good one to account for, to incorporate here, and maybe the easiest one for us to get to start with anyway. But so as you consider this, please do also bring up the other leaderboard draft and consider what it displays. You've seen the other leaderboard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Discussion.
Yeah.
So we are going with that design.
I think it would happen in phases, like that's the easiest one to get to.
Yeah.
Bringing yours in as a, like, because these are all GitHub, well, not all, or most of these are GitHub stats.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that elements of what you've got here can't begin to show up in that earlier phase, like this month or last month, or like for all time, or the way that, you know, there's a list, a ranking of just, there's these horizontal rows, and then also the top 3 get called out special. Like that's I mean, there's elements of what you've done that can be incorporated into the other design, which you'll have to, if you don't mind, you'll have to share the other design in Slack so that everybody has a.
Yeah, I'll share the link in the Slack channel.
Nice, good. I'm glad that you brought this up. It's great.
Cool. Yeah, this looks nice, Sergio. And as you grow with this particular design, let's also get you edit access to Figma, so you can collaborate with others. So I think, yep, we are good to wrap today's call. So thank you all for joining. We'll meet you next week, same time, same place. Make sure to subscribe Layer 5's community calendar. Thank you all. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye, Gaurav.